Some of you may know that I've released a project called Member Manager, and I've made it available for free. Member Manager. I've been working on this project for quite a while now. Actually, no, this date isn't fully correct. I think it's about, oh, maybe this is correct. Anyway, that's not the point. Point is, I've been working on this project for a while now, and the purpose of the project was to develop a component which can serve as a bridge to link many components together. So you always need, most of the times anyway, you need something of a relationship with the user manager in Joomla. The problem we have is that sometimes we still want that kind of relationship but with no login, or we still want that kind of relationship but we want a reuse emails or any, many different issues. Anyway, so I created this thing, Member Manager, which serves as a bridge between the user manager and your component, what you are going to develop. Then I made it that you can create other components. Now here's only a few of what I've already done. I've got plenty others which work upon the same basis, and that is to expand the member manager. So there are two concepts here. One is a form expansion, one-to-many area, and one is a one-to-one or one-to-many. Well, both sides can be multiple, but the one I purposefully called info and the other one I called assessment. So if we were to look at the info one, this would be like personal details, and I go into the component configuration. Then there is a target account info, member info link, target member type info, relation type info, placeholder prefix info, profile fields info, and editable fields info. So you see it's all tagged with this little info keyword, and it's because it features in the profile in an area which is for information regarding the member, which is maybe more specific. Then there is another type of component that links in with Member Manager, and that is what I called the assessment. Oh, I clicked the wrong button. Assessment. So you'd see it says assessment, 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 assessment. It's got a few more. It's also got placeholders now. Assessment, assessment, assessment. And that's because it targets an area of the member in a profile setting that is more related to assessments. Now, because we know that assessment is not always going to be the right name, there is actually a list that you can select of what you want this type of form to relate. So you could take any, if you buy any of these forms from me, which is why I built this, you could take this form and you could literally clone it like that and change the name, change the fields, basically look through the component. If you think about, okay, anthropometry, and look at the conventions. So if I was to open anthropometry here, and then we'll look at anthropometry itself. Let's open that view. Then you see, oh, he called it forms. Okay, so let's go out of anthropometry, which is an assessment component. Let's go into another one, which is also an assessment component, which is this bankable projects or fitness test. So I'm going to open that one, and then also there's the fitness test form, the name of the view. If I open it, you see, you also called this forms, form and form. So there's a convention. You need to use the word form. because that's how it links in with Member Manager. Then you would see that there is the fields for this form, and then with the fields I have tabs, which I called this one fitness test and strength flexibility and ECG. And now this form links in to a component, obviously called fitness test. But now fitness test, it also has a field called status norms and charts. And so the status norms and charts are taking these values and making a calculation either in norms or a chart here. So you could take a value from the submission and you can take it beyond that specific value and expand on it. You could also come in here into the, let's see, okay, we need to go this area here, into the component view, and you'll see that I added the get form. I added a few tweaks. Then also with the save method, I'm actually grabbing certain values, and then I'm actually building what we know as the params. I'm building the params value all over here, all the way down, and we end up here with a data set of params, which is really the calculations of the form stored in parameters. Then I'm using the parameters as values. Now if we go back here and close out here and we're back in the form, open here, you see that I have a form params public static helper field, which tells us that in the params there is these values. These are the values, and that these values have a label. They have a template value, which we're going to create a label, a template, where we take the value. The value is this one here, and we're adding it basically to what we now call a template, so we can use this value in a form with a placeholder. So I'm basically, through this implementation, I am converting the subform, which is one of the forms in that view. I'm also converting the params that I calculate on save through this area called get selection. So there's a lot of code here that's still busy being developed, but the initial foundation of this implementation is already good and very stable and functional. And I'll show you how this code comes together and actually produces a very integrative perspective with Member Manager and, in this case, fitness tests. So you can then submit multiple fitness tests for one member, and then these fitness tests can be converted into charts, reports, which can then be sent to whoever you want to. And that is just expansion upon the Member Manager's infrastructure. So the first idea was that I built something which I can expand with other components and basically create a convention with which to, if I want to develop another component which needs member kind of things, then I develop it in a certain way, just install it, and a Member Manager itself just expands. And that was the idea. So firstly, so that I can sell these forms to the community, and they can either use it themselves. Maybe they have a doctor or a fitness instructor that wants to run fitness tests, and they want to have a profile for their patients or for their athletes in a portal kind of website, and then they want to, you as a developer, you want to take this concept, and maybe for another client he has a different concept that he wants to expand also linked to a specific user, multiple form layers. And so in this way you have immense ability to expand upon a member manager very integratively, and most of the hard work to make this happen, the foundation really has been done, and it took me quite a while to put it up in place. But it really, you can't see this concept live very successfully outside of JCB. JCB really gives it that power to expand. Because I mean, I can take this fitness test model here, well, it's a component, full component, it actually is installable, and Member Manager already is free. Okay, so this is going out for free. I'm not asking anyone anything, so if you could figure this out, you could even build components like this on top of Member Manager and do your own thing. But I make no apologies, it is not easy, it's quite complicated. But if you get one of these, buy one of these, I'm going to put them in my shop. Well, eventually there will be many. In fact, I'm planning to even in Member Manager add a page where you can get access to these things easily. That's a roadmap which I'm working on. Then if once you've got either, well, you can either install Member Manager, buy one of these as a Joomla component, install it with Member Manager on a client site, and have all that functionality immediately there. Okay, so that will be the first application, and that's the normal application in usual terms regarding Joomla components. But the purpose of JCB was to take that way further, where you as a developer, you can also buy this maybe communication model, or well, it's a component, but I call it a model because it expands on the Member Manager. This actually adds the ability to, from any of these either assessment forms or information forms, send reports out. So this is and I'm going to expand the communication concept into an area where it can be a whole marketing tool, email, everything. So that's not fully there yet, but it's already well on its way, where you can grab multiple of these forms, values of one member, and throw them into one email. Very powerful. Not to mention that Member Manager now has been expanded to do literally the same with data presentation of any of these models. Now I'm going to display or demonstrate this in other tutorials. So this tutorial is really for programmers, and it's trying to demonstrate or explain briefly the initial implementation of what I want to call the core concept. The core concept is a combination on top of an expansion of Member Manager. So I am saying by this that you could have fitness tests linked to one member, and each fitness test takes the values, makes calculations, and generates a report. And that report can be viewed in the member's profile already, and can be emailed by the staff member who submits the reports and controls to anyone who you as a company decide, or your client as a company decides to email it to, of course with the consent of your the person who gave you the right to do the assessment. Now, what is making this even more powerful is the fact that if you've worked with JCB for a while now, then you'll know that if I take anthropometry, for example, and then I take one of these views, the anthropometry view, form view, and then I take its fields, then if I was to go to edit this and say OK, then you'd see that we have a permissional switch structure which has the edit, access and view on this one value, and in fact on all the values that we have in this form, which immediately means that we don't need to code who sees this, who can edit this view, who can edit these fields. None of that needs to be coded because it can be managed by the installed component. So if we were to go out of this and then go to one of these components, and open the options, there is a permissional structure, obviously per group, which gives you the opportunity to edit any field. Who can edit it? Who can view it? Who can access it? And so not only are you able to sell a component to your client, which you bought from me, but you're also able to sell your service, which is to how to install and implement these components for multiple clients. So the idea would be you would set up the integration concept, you'll build their templates which they want, you'll structure their groups and their permissional structures per component. Now I've used these stars to sort of patch them together. So this is member, and then bankable, project, contacts, and now with contacts the same thing. You can decide who can edit it, which groups can edit what, every field. And this advantage of total control down to the field level, believe me, this is big. This gives you a lot of authority to present very good structured systems. Now, Member Manager has the ability to expand. And what does that mean? That means while we have a contact, now bankable projects are different and donor funding projects are different because they are assessment type components, whereas contacts is an info component. And so we set if we go to contacts, we set this info component that its integration concept is one-to-one. So that means this member will only have one website value linked to him, one mobile value linked to him, that kind of thing. So if we were to go to the members area and we were to open James, we will see that there is an immediate extra tab with those fields that you allowed available and editable right in the same place. And so it does also, this specific member already has bankable projects linked to him, and those projects are showing up here. You can click on these things to edit them, or you can create another one. And so that means this edit view, which you're looking at right here, is also accessible on the front end from the user's profile. And we'll still look at the user's profile to demonstrate some of this. But that means they can edit everything in one place. They don't need to go to different forms, different links. You don't need to code that in anymore. If you develop your component correctly according to the conventions that I set forth within Member Manager, then immediately those things become integrated into Member Manager. Now I can eventually go down into showing you how this is done, but it's even more stunning here than, well, is that the right word? Stunning here? I don't think there's such a word. But okay, let me do something. Let's go to custom codes. I have started using custom codes extremely much, and it's become a tremendous advantage. So we have there, let's see, get load dynamic tabs. Load dynamic tabs is the function, it's an helper class, which I call from the Member Manager that specific view, and through that function method, I actually detect which components have been installed and what are the values that should be shown, and then get those values, map them. So it's like a model, but it's in the helper class, and it is all here in one place, whereby you can now take Member Manager, make it something else, and grab these things and if you've learned, now this is, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna make tutorials on how to do this, because I want to sell a few components here. So obviously this is going to be like digging, you know, for gold, I suppose. You're going to have to come through here. I didn't write it so, you know, trying to hide what I'm doing. I don't like. I mean, if you know your PHP, you'll be able to figure this out quite easily. And basically, this code that what you just looked at, it's already in Member Manager, and it's already being distributed for free. But it's really this code that grabs the information from the other components and integrates it with Member Manager. So that's for the backend and the edit views and so forth. Okay, so this can be done or explained for many other features that you would see in the helper classes. So going through just the custom codes of these, and what's also stunning is that many times, like for example the chart model, any details, you'll see that in this install it's used in 4 other components are using it, and these 4 components are all assessment type components. You see that? So the one function in all of them that models the chart is in one place. So you can in one place see the code that does that in all 4 of those components. Well, in any of the components that I'm releasing in that integrates with Member Manager. The same goes with status norms. There's another one. It's also status norms also used in those 4 components. And getting any template is being used in all of those components as well. So there are many helper methods that are being used in all my components that expand on the Member Manager. And so the idea there is, as we see the need that some of those methods are not that maybe efficient or something, we expand on it, and it immediately improves all the components which use them. So it's like I could think of it as a something that can grow, yeah, like a expansion on top of Member Manager. Now let's see side views. The side view currently has any list of member details, and then a cPanel, which is for your staff members of your client either, or even yourself, and they have an area from which they can access and actually search members through an Ajax search area. And then there's the member profile. So it's only these 3 front-end views that makes all these amazing things happen in the front end of the component, because you can make multiple of these, and this list member details can display any of those components in any type of way. I'm going to add one more view here in which we are going to look at one member details without well, I've been playing with the idea. I could either take a link right here to the profile from this list, or have an extra one which is not a profile but just a presentation of any data. So I'm still playing with that, but the point is I'm still going to expand this as I'm building things for clients, and as I'm building things for clients, and then I'm making these tools available to other developers, which hopefully, if they read through the code, maybe first take the compiled Joomla component, actively testing it, working with it, and then seeing how it was done in JCB, and eventually expanding on it themselves, we'll end up with a extreme powerful community-driven type project called the core concept, which builds upon basically the Member Manager. So the Member Manager itself, it seems very elementary. If you have it installed, so like there, and let's say you say new, this seems so simple, doesn't it? I mean, you can only select the type of member, and so by the way, you can put a member in more than one type. And you can select whether it's a login or a main member. A main member means it is a member that can have sub-members, but it doesn't have login. Main member and login means this is a normal user, but it also has can also have sub-members. Then a sub-member belongs to a main member. So you can link a sub-member to a main member. And then you have a sub-member with login. So you can have a sub-member that belongs to a main member and can also log in. And so the relationship remapping here is quite interesting. What is more interesting is that this type area, the type area, if we go to the types, it was built in such a way that you could allow members from different types to be linked to members of another type. So here we can link staff member, partners can be linked. So let's go see this in action. Okay, so here's a staff member, and oh wait, this is the type. Let's go to a member itself, that is a staff member. You can see I can come here, and in the relationship, now there's a new tab here called relationships. I can link a partner to this actual staff member. So you could build another type of relationship, not only this sub and main type. There is a different way to also line up relationships. Now, as Member Manager expands on this relationship mapping, I can tell you now, this member concept, it doesn't need to be a user. It could be a company. It could even be a product. It could even be an event. It could be many things, because you can link many things to it, and then present the data on the front end. And now when I say present the data on the front end, let's say we are going to add a display of the data manager. I see this member manager has not yet been upgraded. Let me quickly do that anyway. You'll just see what I mean. I exported it from my developing environment over here, but I haven't yet compiled and installed it here. So let me just do that. Member manager, compile it. Now, of course, you can add more fields to any of these components, and you can change their names, and you can remap them into different type of forms than what I am doing here now. But for now, this is all that I've okay, let's go look at that. Go back to menus, take home, looks, member manager. There we have it. Any list of member details. Okay. Now when we open the members tab here, we see that we can decide what type of display we want: panels, tabs, or lists. If we take panels, it gives us the option to set the main panel tab of many panels, and then of a single panel. And here we can decide what type of account information do we want to get here, what kind of one-on-one data do we want, and the ones that are multiple, we can also say how many of those multiple values we want from this one member. And then we can also do a main template and an item template, which can include HTML, as well as here and here, of course, which means you can use Bootstrap or you can use UIKit, and you can do your HTML, and you can do it with placeholders. Now, by the time I release this officially, your placeholder mapping will be showing here. But to give you an idea of how these placeholders will look like, I'm going to open one of the components which you can obviously use to build charts and stuff. It has an area which is also called templates, and this is how a placeholder would look like. So you would basically have a bracket. This name here, bankable, is determined by the integration. No, wait, not the integration. Where is it? Global. Okay, I need to add that field here. Basically, it's a field. So you could change this part of the value, whereas that part of the value is actually the field name as found in the database. And so you could use that placeholder to build an HTML layout. So that means the front end could be modeled in any way you like. And you can, that's where you can now, your clients who use these components, they're going to need you to do their HTML. So you're able to charge them there again at the hour. And so this gives you the ability to expand upon your offerings for your that you are making available, to expand your client's business website with these kind of tools. Now, I know there are other tools like this out there. What makes this one way different from all of them is that you can your client can log in here in the back, and they can open these fields, and it doesn't, you don't feel lost. I mean, this is now a one-on-one value set that you can show them, and they can edit and add their own. So it's very easy, because it looks so much similar than the actual article manager, that it's very easy to let your own clients use these tools. It's not hidden away and difficult to get to, and it's simple. And the same goes with, well, the member manager itself, of course. It's easy. Now, it's not only for the the back end, but also for the front end. So let me show you that. So here on the front end, I'm going to do a search for, well, let's go to James. And there is the front end profile. Here are the options of forms. We only have the bankable linked at the moment to this one. So you would click on that, and then you can access the bankable subject and edit the information for this member. In the publish area, you'll see that the promoter already is linked in. And so the control on what fields can be edited, that's all done with permissions. Previous forms, we can change this name from reports to, details or submissions. Previous forms are visible here. Through that template area, you can build a viewable result set of that form, and you can also edit previous submissions by going to that link. You can also edit the actual member, and here is the same values as seen in the back end, all basically functioning as expected. And then also there are some values of the contact details visible here. So it's quite easy to see why the expansion on Member Manager is very it's a very powerful, easy to do from a developer's perspective, of course, where you don't need to every time reinvent the wheel. Member Manager can be adapted into any kind of concept quite easily, and it all lives inside of Joomla Component Builder as components, which could be changed. I mean, you can add more views, you can add more relationships, database structures, and deploy them upon the convention of these already based components, and expand on Member Manager that easily. So this is a summary. It's about 30 minutes long. I'm planning to do a more in-depth demonstration of every little concept, but this should be just as an overview. I think this should be good enough. Well, thanks for watching. I really trust that your curiosity or interest have been sparked through this. We'll be getting out these things, these expansion concepts soon enough into our shop. I haven't yet decided what the costing would be, but as you can imagine, I need to also earn a living here. So far, most of the things I've done here for JCB has been free, and so this is how I want to. Well, you can do the same thing, of course. You can also build your own little thing with JCB and use it as a marketing tool and do that. That's the whole point. The whole point of JCB is to give a tool to programmers to really go beyond what has been done in the past, and more rapidly and more creatively. There we go. Okay, thanks for watching. Until next time.